Alright, today I'm going to be installing the Jandy EI series Aqua Pure salt chlorinator. I'm going to do a step-by-step of how to install it. It's not that hard. Okay, so first thing, we're going to take it out of the box. This is the cell that gets installed into the pipe that feeds the pool. And you want to remove this. This comes with a bracket to mount it onto the post or the wall or wherever you mount it onto. Like a wrench to tighten up the lock nut. This is the cable that connects to the salt chlorinator. And the first thing we need to do is hook up power to the system. So I'm going to hook up a 3-wire power. We're going to have 2 hots and a ground. Running that, you can hook it up 120 or 240. I'm going to hook it up 240 volts. Alright, so what we need to do before we can hook anything up is open it up, take it apart. So in order to do that, there's a little shroud that goes over the top of it that needs to be popped off. So if you turn it backwards, you can see these little tabs. And all you need is a flathead screwdriver. And you just pry loose the 2 tabs on the bottom. Then we flip it over. And we're going to lift this the bottom piece off, and then the top piece will pop off. And that's all there is to it. Okay, now there's 4 screws, 2 on each side. We just need to remove those. Alright, we're going to use a small Phillips screwdriver. These are fairly small screws. Alright, once all the screws are removed, we can lift up the top of this. And then you can see that this has a communication cable plugged into it that attaches to the actual display board. And so what you're going to want to do is actually disconnect this plug. And you can set your display over to the side. And now we can proceed in connecting the power. Alright, so now what I've done is I've gotten a piece of 1/2-inch liquid tight flexible conduit with a straight liquid tight flex connector 1/2 inch attached to the top of it. I have 2 black number 12 wire 12 gauge wire and 1 green 12 gauge wire, and that's what we need for 240 volts. If you were to run it at 120 volts, you would need a white, a green, and a black. So, and your options could be, you could do a black and a red instead of 2 blacks, or you can do a variety of colors, but you do have to use green for the ground and white for a neutral. So I'm going to go ahead and put that connector in that hole, and we'll proceed to hook the wires up. Alright, so we've got it connected. You can see I've got the lock nut on there real tight. Then I just have to hook these wires up. Now if you look in here, there's a lot of little lugs, small ones, big ones. And we're going to be attaching to where these 4 lugs are. And it's in the directions. But the first lug and the second lug is not used, or the first lug and the third lug is not used. So we're going to use the second one and the fourth one. If we were going to hook this up 120 volts, the second one would be the white or the neutral, and the fourth one would be the hot or the black. For 240 volts, both of these are going to be the hot. So I'm going to go ahead and connect a black one to here, a black one to the fourth one, and then there's a ground screw. You can tell it's a ground because right next to it, it gives you that little ground picture. And so I'm going to wrap that around that Phillips screw and snug it down. Okay, you're going to want to get a pair of wire strippers. And what we're going to do is we're going to strip these wires so it's just about a 1/2 inch stripped off the end of each one. Maybe a little longer on the ground. Okay, so when it's all connected, it should look just like this. You have to remember when you're using, you're doing this, you're going to need a small screwdriver. It's got to fit in there. This is a very small flathead screwdriver. Okay, so the next step, we're going to want to put it back together again. Now, you have a couple different options with this. If you have a Jandy panel, you may want to link it to your panel using these 4 little lugs right here, which are even smaller. So you need a very small flat screwdriver for that. And you connect you connect the 4-wire connector to this and then connect it to the back of the board. Alright, since I'm going to be installing this into a Jandy panel with a PDA system, I will be connecting the low voltage communication wire. Now, like I said before, it goes to these 4 wires connections right here. And to find out how to connect that, you look in the manual, and you see that it gives you the color layout. Now, you got to follow this because it's not green, yellow, black, red like it is in every Jandy panel. But even though it says green, yellow, black, red, follow the lines because this is actually going green, red, and then yellow, and then black. So that's the way it gets connected. So I'm going to go ahead and hook these up. Okay, so I've got these connected. Now the thing you have to remember on these screws already come pre-tightened down as opposed to all the other screws on here. So if you need to put these on, you have to actually loosen these screws up first, slide them down, and then tighten them over the top of the wires. So just kind of a quick tip if this is the first time you've ever done that, or if you were planning on setting up your Jandy panel that way. Alright, so we're ready to put this case back together. Don't forget to hook up your communication wire that goes to your display board, and it just gets plugged in nice and snug. And we'll put this cover back on, put the screws back in, put the shroud back on, and then we're ready to mount it and attach it to the panel. Okay, so install the bracket with these hooks facing up so the panel can attach to it, just wherever it's convenient for you to mount your panel. Okay, there we have it. The panel is installed. Now we just have to hook it to the main panel, or the Jandy panel, whatever you have running your pump. Okay, I've got this landed in the panel here. I just got to hook the wires up to the proper relay, the relay that goes to the filter pump. I'm going to hook it up onto the load side, so it only comes on when the filter pump is turned on. So what that's going to be here, it's going to be the second and fourth one on the relay that goes to the filter pump. And if you have any questions about that on a Jandy panel, it's written right on the inside of the panel how to wire it. Okay, so I've got the ground hooked up to the ground bar, and I've got the two hots hooked up to the relay. It's okay to double lug these, so if you need to put two wires on the lug, that's fine. And so here's our mounted panel. We're ready to install the actual salt chlorinator now. This is the easy part. Okay, so here are our parts that come with the salt chlorinator. This is the actual cell. This is the bottom piece, and this is the top piece. And if you have 1.5-inch pipe, this is the adapter for the 1.5-inch pipe. We're going to be installing it on a 2-inch pipe. Now, when you install this, it has to be after the filter, and if you have a heater, it has to be after the heater. So I'm going to install it on the pipe that comes out of the heater and then goes to the pull and the spa return. It just has to go on any decent length of pipe, preferably like at least a 12-inch section if you can find one, and it has to sit up on a level piece of pipe. So let's drill the holes. Okay, so this comes with this drill bit. It comes in the package. It's already set up. First thing we like to do is take the bottom piece, and it's a template. Doubles as a template for our where our holes are going to go. So I'm just going to take a pin and mark the spots where our holes are going to go. And, you can kind of see them on there. It's pretty dark, and then you just set your little hole saw that comes there up. Yeah, obviously you got to make sure the pump is off when you do this. And there's your hole. And we're gonna have one more, and we can mount our box. Okay, so once you drill your holes, clean them off real good. Make sure there's no pieces of pipe, pieces of shavings around anywhere. Then you want to look at your top piece. It's going to say outlet and inlet. So the outlet goes from the water coming in, and or the inlet goes from the water coming in. The outlet goes to the water going out, obviously. So if you look at the bottom of this, it's already greased up. You simply set it in the holes. You're going to take the bottom piece and just snap it in. Simple as that. Now we just need to take our top piece, make sure there's no debris or anything on it. A little tube goes in the little hole, and then the lock nut tightens up. And that's basically all you have to do to install that bad boy. We'll install the wires next. Okay, so I've tightened this up using this lock wrench, so it's nice and snug. Take the cap off, and now we just have to install these wires. It's pretty simple to do. You can see that they're each just the right length to fit on there this way. So the black one goes is the shortest one, so cord goes on that side. Two red ones, doesn't matter which one's which. And finally, the blue one. And then the cord just runs behind here. It's pushed into this little groove. And then this lid sits right on top. And there's our completed salt chlorinator. It's ready to roll. The only thing now is to get some salt in the pool. So I recommend going down to Leslie's or whatever your local pool supplier is. You got to know how many gallons of water you have, and then go down there and put the right amount of salt in the pool. Could be, you might end up putting 10, 50-pound bags of salt in your pool. It just depends on how big your pool is. You just need to have your salt level between 3,000 and 4,000 parts per million for this thing to work good. And once you do that, you're good to go. Okay, when you hook this salt chlorinator up to the Jandy panel, you're going to want to hook it up just like that. Green, yellow, red. Or green, yellow, black, red. It just goes just like that. So you hook the wires up exactly as it shows you in the panel. Once that's all done, and you turn the panel on, I don't know if you can see this with the reflection, but in the corner you'll see a little picture of an antenna or something. That means it's linked. So all you have to do is go into the programming on your remote control. So it's really hard to see in this light. But you just want to go to menu. You want to select the menu button. You want to go down to set aqua pure. And then you want to just adjust the output. You want to select it. Push the up button. I'm going to set this one to about 75%, I think. Okay, and once I do that, this turns on. Now there's no salt in here yet, but once it's all turned on, you just need to have salt in there, and it'll control it from your control panel.